Hi everyone. This video provides a lecture for week 11 of Theories in Career Development. In this lecture, I'll introduce two theories that can help explain how clients pursue goals and experience engagement in meaningful work. Both theories are useful for CDPs because they help explain how clients stay motivated and how they experience meaningful engagement in activities and work. These theories don't appear in the textbook, so I provided some other reading materials under this week's content to supplement this lecture. In this presentation, we'll explore two theories, hope theory and one of my personal favorites, flow theory. Hope theory focuses on how people pursue goals and maintain motivation while they're doing so. Flow theory focuses on how people become deeply engaged in activities. Both models can help practitioners understand client motivation, persistence, and engagement in career development. And both of these theories can be seen as being descriptive in nature. Hope theory was developed by psychologist C.R. Snyder in the early 1990s. It emerged from research in positive psychology, focusing on how people pursue goals and maintain motivation. Rather than viewing hope simply as optimism, Snyder described hope as a cognitive system and set of beliefs that support goal pursuit. So his model explains goal-directed thinking and motivation. He defined hope as a cognitive motivational system, which is just a fancy way of saying a way of thinking that supports goal-directed behavior. Hope involves identifying meaningful goals, developing strategies to reach them, and sustaining motivation while pursuing them. And we can certainly see how each of these aspects of his definition of hope could fit into and be supported by the work that you do with clients as a CDP. The theory proposes three interacting components: goals, pathways, and agency thinking. So, of course, goals are the outcomes that people want to achieve. Pathways thinking refers to the ability to generate or think about ways to reach those goals. And agency thinking refers to the motivation and determination to pursue those routes to achieve those goals. So let's just break these down in a little bit more detail. Goals provide direction for our behavior, and of course, they represent desired outcomes that people want to achieve. And they help to organize effort and motivation to pursue those goals. So they help provide direction for our behavior. When goals are clear and meaningful, people are, of course, more likely to persist in pursuing them. The goals can be short or long term. And as CDPs, we play a really essential role in helping clients to pursue those goals. So goals can be short or long term, and clear goals, of course, help to increase motivation for clients. The more we are clear about our goals and the steps we need to take to achieve them, the more likely we are to feel motivated to pursue those goals. And I have mentioned in previous lectures that we are in the business of hope in the work that we do with clients. We want them to leave a session with us feeling hopeful. So helping them to establish clear goals is more likely to create this sense of hope for clients. When we look at the component of pathways thinking, this refers to the person's perceived ability to identify strategies or routes to reach goals. So people high in hope tend to generate multiple possible pathways to think from a lot of different angles about how can I make this happen so that they can continue pursuing goals even when obstacles occur, and being able to develop alternative plans if barriers do come up. And really, part of that is anticipating what might be possible barriers. So, working with our clients, we can, of course, help them to anticipate barriers and to plan strategies, as well as mapping out ways to achieve their goals. That may include offering resources that they may not be aware of that could help to support them, such as funding for a particular training program they might be interested in. And then the third component, agency thinking, is really the motivational component of hope. It's the belief that one can initiate and sustain action toward their goals. In other words, having a sense of, I can do this. This agency thinking manifests itself as determination and energy driving the goal pursuit. What's important to acknowledge here is that, of course, we can't install motivation in our clients or somehow coerce them to feel more motivated, but we can create the conditions to foster it. And again, if clients feel hopeful about their chances of achieving a goal, they're more likely to be motivated to take action to move towards it. So, although we can't install hope in our clients, we can identify, are they in a position right now where they feel their hope is high, or are they in a position right now where their hope is low? Clients with high hope characteristics would include things like being able to set clear goals. Some of your clients will come in having a very definite idea about what they want to achieve. They develop multiple strategies, thinking of different ways to achieve those goals. So, for example, I'd like to go back to school and get a degree. Maybe I can do that part time. Maybe I can do that full time. Maybe I can do it online or go in person. So, just being able to envision different ways to go about achieving that goal. Clients with high hope characteristics will also persist when obstacles arise, and they will find new strategies. So this reflects, how quickly does a person give up when they are frustrated or they encounter a barrier, and they remain motivated during setbacks. It's not that we want to see people having toxic positivity, but that they are able to absorb, okay, I've run into a roadblock here. Maybe I don't have the funds right now to go back to school. What are some other ways that I can continue to pursue that goal? And of course, our role in working with clients is to help identify and troubleshoot those obstacles and to see what we can do to provide resources to help them move past those barriers. Individuals with low hope may struggle to identify pathways towards their goals and may become quickly discouraged when barriers arise. They may give up on goals more quickly when they encounter challenges. And again, we can't install hope in our clients. We can't, it's not appropriate to say, you need to be more hopeful. Things aren't all that bleak. We don't want to try and talk clients out of their feelings. Again, remember that principle of being where the client is. But we can just commit to do our best to create conditions that help the client to feel more hopeful, to set achievable goals, identify and address barriers, and to provide resources. Of course, this is all highly relevant in our practice as CDPs. We often help clients to clarify goals if they're unclear, to determine what pathways they might take towards employment or achieving whatever goal they have in mind, and also helping to maintain motivation during setbacks such as job search rejection, and understanding that a certain amount of that is built in and should be expected in the job search process, as well as career decision making. So we help our clients to understand that setbacks are going to be part of that process, but also show them a way forward from those challenges. So, hope theory overall involves goals, pathways, and agency, and it's important to gauge the client's level of motivation and sense of hope, and to address and strategize around barriers. We in going through the program, you're going to learn a great many tools that could be very useful for helping clients who may be stuck. So, as an example, how to address and strategize around barriers, the client may say, I'm, really afraid of job interviews. I'm afraid I'm going to freeze up and get stuck. I don't know how to answer the questions. And of course, we can do a great deal to help clients prepare effectively for job interviews through mock interviewing and preparing answers to questions and so on. So, again, that's all part of our role as a CDP to help engender a sense of hope within our clients. So, let's move on now to flow theory. And this is one of my personal favorites out of all of the theories, along with Krumboltz's planned happenstance. So, while hope theory focuses on goal pursuit, flow theory focuses on our experience of activities that we find engaging. This theory was developed in the 1970s by a Hungarian psychologist, and I'm just not going to even attempt to say his name, but he wrote a book later on called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, which is an excellent book to read on the topic. And this model came out of his studies of how people feel when they're deeply engaged in activities. And he described these experiences as flow. So, flow refers to a psychological state where individuals are completely absorbed in an activity. They're in a state of deep concentration and full immersion in an activity. And while they're in this state, time seems to disappear or stand still. That idea of time flies when you're having fun. So think about things that you might do in your life where you do lose track of time. You're engaged in an activity, you sit down to do it, or you get involved in doing it, and suddenly you look up and realize 2 hours have gone by. That means that you were in a state of flow. The tasks that we do when we're in a state of flow may be challenging, but they also feel quite manageable. They feel like something that we have the competency to do. And when in a state of flow, we feel a deep sense of satisfaction while we're engaged in the task. We're in the zone, we're in the flow. Now, any kind of activity can put us in a state of flow. This could be hobbies, things that we do at work, being listening to music, watching movies, being with other people that we care about, or our pets, athletic pursuits, being in nature, anything that gives you this sense of you're forgetting about everything but what you're focused on, and you lose your sense of time while you're in that state. That could be considered a state of flow. So again, think about activities that you do that you actively seek out, knowing that it's going to produce this state of flow for you, that it's going to take you away, let's say, from your worries or from your anxieties about your studies. It's an activity that you usually seek out to hopefully induce a state of flow. And although this is meant to think about activities from a positive sense, sometimes we can seek out activities that maybe are not necessarily positive for us. Just a silly little personal example. I know when I'm eating a chocolate bar, which I really shouldn't be eating, but when I'm doing that, for just that moment, that's all that exists for me. So we sometimes seek out things that are maybe not good for us also because sometimes it gives us this sense of being in a state of flow, even if it's just for a few brief moments. So this state of flow occurs when the skill level matches the challenge level, that we are able to engage in this activity, even though others might see it as challenging or difficult, that we feel like it's within our range of ability, that it's something that is doable for us, and we really enjoy it. So they talk about in the state of flow of having a balance between skill and challenge. So too much challenge leads to anxiety. Too little challenge can lead to boredom. Achieving the balance is the sweet spot. That's where we get into that state of flow. If the challenge is greater than the skill, then the task can feel overwhelming, and this can lead to anxiety. So, the strategy here, if you're working with clients, is to break it down to the smallest component that seems doable to the client. So, for example, doing job interviews and just trying to master all the questions at once could be quite overwhelming for the client. Break it down to maybe just one question to start with so that it seems doable to them. If the skill is greater than the challenge, so in other words, we're working below our capacity. This can happen, let's say, when people are in a job where they're underemployed. They have much better skills than what are being asked for in the work that they're doing. Tasks can become too easy, too repetitive. This can lead to boredom. And the strategy here, of course, would be to up the level of challenge. So if a client is coming to see you because they are, in a job that's not just not paying them enough money, but also feels way below their level of skill. This is something that happens to many newcomers who come to Canada. They may have had professional training in their country of origin and, had a much more challenging type of job that their skills were asked for a higher level of skill in that work. And then they come to Canada and they end up doing a job that it does not meet that level of their skill and their capacity. So they may feel bored, they may feel underutilized. This can also lead to some anxiety because, I want to go to work every day feeling like I'm being challenged and that my skills are being used, but they're not. So I feel bored in the job and it's causing me anxiety. So the strategy, of course, there is to try and up the level of challenge, try to help the client find work that does, in fact, challenge them a little bit more and meets their level of skills wherever they are. So, in the optimal flow zone, there is a balance between challenge and skill. It's not effortless, but it is achievable. We feel competent. We're very conscious, at least initially, that this is something that's very doable. And then at some point, it just begins to flow, and we don't have to think about it very much. If you think about someone, let's say, who's a concert pianist, they quite often don't have any music in front of them. They just sit down and the music flows and they play without much what appears to be quite effortless. But they had to work quite a bit to master the skill in order to get to that state. When you're in that optimal flow zone, it produces a deep sense of engagement. We're completely immersed in what we're doing. You hear these expressions all the time. We're in the zone and we're going with the flow. So, again, think about an activity you've participated in where time seems to pass by quickly and you've been so immersed in the experience that you almost feel like you're waking from a dream when it's over. People often feel this way about their hobbies or time spent with people they feel deeply attached to. Maybe you've had this experience when you've gone into a theater and watched a movie you became so engrossed in that you forgot about everything else. And of course, some people have this experience listening to music they love and may choose that activity deliberately to listen to a piece of music for a few minutes, get into the flow with that piece of music, and for a short time, it takes them away from things that are stressing them, preoccupying them. And of course, flow experiences are a great counterbalance to being in a stress state. If you're in the optimal flow zone, you're not really feeling stressed. You're feeling focused and attuned to what you're doing, but you're not stressed by it. So, as I've said, characteristics of flow: intense concentration, a sense of control, loss of awareness of time, and deep enjoyment of the activity. So, you can find out these things from clients by asking, about peak experiences maybe they've had in their work, if we want to focus first on work. When you ask a client to tell you a story about an achievement that they had, something they feel really proud of, chances are that was a flow experience. You can ask them about their previous work or any previous activity, whether it's work or hobbies or volunteer work, to describe activities that they have found they really enjoy, activities that they would spontaneously seek out, the types of things that they would like to consider doing, let's say, in a future position. So we want to find out what is it that induces this feeling for clients, because this can help us to, again, help them develop clear goals, to recognize that they can seek out these types of activities or these types of experiences in their work. Helping clients to identify their flow experiences can help them identify activities and work environments that are most engaging and meaningful to them so that we can perhaps guide them in that direction. And when people find a career with activities that create a sense of flow, they may feel this is a calling or a vocation. In Super's term, the activity has high salience for them. And my wish would be that most people could find this. Certainly, I have in my career, working as both a counselor and as a professor, that I see this as a calling. I really enjoy it. I lose track of time when I'm even marking assignments. I know that might sound crazy, but I lose track of time because I get so immersed in it and really find that it takes me away from everything. I really do lose my sense of time, and I enjoy things. Sometimes this sense of calling can be hard to explain to other people why you enjoy it so much. So some people, might look at someone who is running, maybe running marathons, doing 10K races and so on, and not understand why on earth would anybody want to do that, right? For you, maybe that's just not something that you could even imagine enjoying. But for people who do like those types of activities, they get into a sense of flow. You heard that idea of the runner's high. So again, this type of thing can be hard to explain to other people why you enjoy it so much, but that's then a clear sign that these are activities that take you into a state of flow. So if we want to use this concept in career development, again, we want to explore flow experiences with clients, real ones that they've had or ones that they imagine they might have. And this can help to identify meaningful occupations and work environments, and sometimes ones that they have not considered before. Now, of course, we would like to, or we probably should, complement that with formal assessment processes that are more prescriptive in nature, but you want to also explore all of these descriptive aspects in the client's career development. And connecting flow to the career supports job satisfaction and career choices that are a better fit. This fits with Super's idea of salience. So, the more that one is working in a career where they have a sense of flow, the more likely they are to feel that this is very salient. It's part of their identity and who they are. And again, I can certainly relate to that myself as a teacher. One thing that's important to recognize is that for some people, it's not an option to pursue an occupation that creates a sense of flow for them. And some people may not even be able to relate to the concept, and that's okay too. Remember, we have to be where the client is. But for some people, maybe they are highly talented artists, but pursuing a career in this field has never been an option for them. For other people, their circumstances may prevent them from seeking anything but a practical job that pays the bills, and that's okay too. So, how can we apply this in our work with clients? Well, ask them about activities where time passes quickly, where they feel as though, in some respects, they're having fun, even if it is work. You want to explore peak experiences in their work, so achievements, moments where they felt proud in their work. Again, this is where you can ask them about stories and, do like a dependable strengths activity with them. Explore tasks that energize clients. So, what do you most enjoy doing in your life, in any aspect of your life? This can be work related or not. And identify situations where they felt their skills are fully used and they felt challenged but accomplished. And you can use this information to generate options and provide ideas for what to look for in their next job. So, flow, of course, plays a big role in job satisfaction. Jobs that balance challenge and skill promote higher engagement from workers, and then that leads to more flow experiences for workers. Flow contributes to workplace satisfaction, engagement, and commitment to quality. So, in putting these two ideas together, hope explains the pursuit of career goals. It explains the client's motivations and ability to pursue their goals. And flow explains the client's engagement in their work. So, to just summarize and recap, we can, of course, foster and support client motivation and engagement in both of these theories by helping clients to identify meaningful goals, develop pathways to achieve those goals, anticipate and troubleshoot obstacles that may come up, and provide resources to support goal pursuit, and identify activities and environments the client has found or may find engaging and meaningful. So we can help our clients to really develop a sense of hope through our work with them. And just remember, we are in the business of hope. We want to try to do our absolute best with every single client that sits in front of us. We want to try and help them to feel more hopeful by the time we are finished our work with them. Of course, we do not want to overpromise, but we can play a very significant role in giving clients a pathway forward to achieve their goals, which is likely to help them leave the session feeling more hopeful. So that's the all that I wanted to share with you about hope theory and flow theory. There are some materials posted under week 11 that will provide you a bit more context for both theories, but those are the main concepts. Thanks for watching, and as always, let me know if you have any questions.